My name is Uzair Qadeer. I am a lifelong HR professional. My entire career has been about doing HR work with really a very purpose-driven focus on creating environments that really allow people to be who they are and really innovate, feeling empowered and liberated every step of the way. Most recently, I served as Chief Diversity Officer at Alexian Pharmaceuticals. Prior to that, I worked at Deloitte Consulting for many years, delivering myriad of human capital solutions at a variety of organizations and across industries and geographies. I also spent many years of my career at Bristol Myers Squibb company, working both in the United States as well as in Rome in Italy. And at one point in my career, I taught at the MBA program at Rutgers University as well. 20 years ago, you and we both could make a career out of a skill set. Today, according to one very recent study, half-life of skills is only 2.5 years, meaning most of what we learned 2.5 years ago will be obsolete in 2.5 years. That is really ushering us into a new frontier, a frontier that many of us haven't really fully, developed an understanding of. Now, to survive and thrive in that world that is ripe with so much change and at such a fast pace, we have to start to think about the future in a different way. Now, futurists are different, whether they are HR futurists or futurists in other fields, they think about things differently and they do so consciously, not just subconsciously. What the futurists do is they look at, first of all, they separate fads from trends. They're very good at understanding what will be a fad or is a fad and what is really becoming a trend. Futurists also don't really rely on skills or expertise, but they actually marry those rich and deep expertise with intuition. So they take the combination of the two and they dive right in when they think something has a potential to be a trend. And they don't sit on the sideline waiting for something to become a trend. Instead, they shape trends to really come forward and become real. They take part in shaping things to be what they want them to be. The futurists are able to rely on deep expertise, but also rely on intuition and really create an environment in which people are skating to where the puck's going to be, not where it is. Because if we skate to where the puck is, by the time we get there, the puck's going to be gone to a new location. So the futurists are really, really keen on and aware of the fact that the world's changing. It's changing quickly. And we have to start using not just our expertise, but our intuition to shape trends that can drive the future forward. And that's what HR futurists do in our field. They usher their companies to overtake new frontiers. They create environments in which employees can relentlessly innovate for the customers. And they also really understand that their role is very, very different than the rest of the company. Truthfully, almost every single function in the corporate arena has a single job, which is to get people to sit down in their chairs, buckle down, and do more of what needs to be done. HR is a really unique and a differentiated role. And that role is to actually tell those people to unbuckle themselves from those chairs and move around a little bit. So the organizations are structured to deliver the results that need to be delivered in the future. That requires unbelievable ability to be a futurist. So not only do I think that really thinking about the future is important, I think it's of paramount importance for HR professionals. The pandemic only accelerated and turbocharged what was already happening. People working remotely more, efficiently and effectively. As a matter of fact, because so many people en masse was sent to their homes behind their computer screens, they had no choice but to be resilient. They had no choice but to be courageous. They had no choice but to adapt to this new reality. And the truth is that people delivered. If you really look at the stock market, you look at corporate profits, you look at performance of large organizations, none of that really suffered because of the pandemic. Organizations continued to thrive, their profits continue to grow, the stock markets continue to do really well even throughout this pandemic. So the proof is in the pudding that people were able to go remote and people were able to collaborate seamlessly. And they were able to do so in a time when we were only really starting to tweak and improve technologies and tools that they could have to be able to do so. So the question that we need to ask ourselves is not where people can be more collaborative, because we know the answer. People are resilient and agile. People will continue to be collaborative in a myriad of situations and environments. What can we do? The question is, what can we do to truly set people free so they can work from wherever they want, so they can work from conditions and situations that make them most successful on their own terms? And how can we give them tools to be able to do so? What new technologies can we adopt? How can we optimize the digital interface experience, digital collaboration experiences? Could we use artificial intelligence? Could we use other tools and technologies that can really usher us into a future? And should we really ask ourselves an important question, which is, should we stop focusing on wanting to return to an old world? Because going back in time is not possible, but going forward into the future is. And that's an imperative to succeed. So people can be collaborative. People have proven to us they can be collaborative in a myriad of situations. The new movement of our time is to give people freedom and flexibility, as well as accountability and responsibility to be able to do so effectively and efficiently with the tools that can allow them to do that. People need to really think about what this really important and meaningful diversity and inclusion work is about. I would challenge and say that at the end of the day, in grand scheme of things, it's about neither diversity nor inclusion, really. Diversity and inclusion are means to a much bigger and greater, outcome, which I call belonging. I define and have always defined belonging as that moment when all people feel included because of their uniqueness, not despite of it. 10 Dials of Diversity is a framework that cuts right to the heart of that. 10 Dials of Diversity really looks at diversity in its traditional forms, race, gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability status, so on and so forth, but also at other dimensions of diversity, which often are overlooked, such as neurodiversity. How do we think and process information? Socioeconomic diversity, diversity of national origin. By doing so, it sends a resounding message. It tells people that diversity comes in all shapes, sorts, and forms. And it is so important that we create environments in which all people can belong because of their uniqueness, because every single person is tremendously unique. When we do that, we can really create an environment in which all people will feel accepted, heard, and seen. And when people feel that way, nothing can stop them from collaborating and nothing can stop them from innovating. So that's really, really important. So my advice to all the leaders out there is, whether they're HR leaders or not, is to, yes, always keep the importance of diversity and inclusion in your heart. They're super important, but never forget that belonging is of utmost value. Constantly strive to create environments in which all people can feel included because of their uniqueness, not despite of it. Encourage your team members to do so. Create flexibility, create predictability for people when they need it. Give people accountability, throw them into situations where they can be stretched and they can grow, and allow them to do that in their own terms. Value everything on the spectrum, from introversion to extroversion, from international experiences to domestic experiences. People from all different socioeconomic backgrounds, or different sorts of diverse backgrounds. When we create a world that's like that, I can assure you that the future will be ripe with purpose, passion, and possibilities. HR leaders have to realize that if there's one thing that this pandemic has really exposed is the importance of the HR function. When the world was falling apart, the companies and business leaders and CEOs were turning to their HR leaders and saying, how do we tackle this? How do we help our employees feel, a sense of belonging when they're remote? How do we empower our employees to succeed in this difficult environment? How do we allow our employees to deliver results in an ever-changing world? HR became critical and really in some ways tip of the spear. So HR leaders now have to ask themselves, the world has changed. And as I said before, in my opinion, we're not going back to some old world. We never have, so we won't now. We will only move forward. So HR leaders have to say, then what is the next frontier? And let me tell you what it is, in my opinion. I don't think it's obsessing over HR business partnership. I don't think it's obsessing over compensation and benefits. I don't think it's obsessing over talent management. All of those pieces and parts remain equally important. I think the future of HR is about obsessing over employee experience. Now, I am an author of a framework that talks about the 5 E's of employee experience, and HR leaders should think about the entire HR function as a steward of the 5 E's of employee experience. The first E is entice. Even before you know a candidate and a candidate knows your company, what are you doing out in the universe to entice them to want to be a part of your organization? What does your employer branding look like? What are your talent discovery and talent sourcing and talent pipelining programs look like? What are your talent acquisition SWAT teams doing on the ground to make sure that they magnetize the best and the brightest to your company? The second E of the 5E framework of employee experience is about enter. Now, when you think about entrance in a traditional form, a lot of people think about employee orientations. Orientations, in my opinion, are a thing of the past. Gone are the days where you bring somebody in, badge and hand them a computer and send them to an empty desk. Entrance should be about rapidly integrating people into the culture of an organization and into the value ecosystem that you want to promote within your company. That doesn't require a one-day training. It requires people coming in and really being made aware about the purpose of the organization, what the company stands for, what the company aspires to do and deliver, and how they can play a role in it. And that needs to be designed very differently. The third E of employee experience, after entice and enter, is to engage. You want to make sure as a HR leader that the engagement programs in your company are in place to help people succeed, that you're collecting the voice of the employee, that you're doing organizational diagnostics, that you're evolving rapidly, you're doing culture action surveys and acting on results of those. The fourth E after, entice, enter, and engage is empower. That's about making sure that the right talent management infrastructure is in place for people to deliver results that need to be delivered, for people to feel like they have skin in the game, that they are owners of the organization and can really make a difference in service of the customers to continue to help the company succeed. That your talent management system is doing the performance management the right way and really looking at modern approaches towards succession planning and leadership development. And of course, the last E, which is often forgotten, is exit. Because companies are eager to get people on board, they don't spend a lot of time thinking about how do they exit people in a thoughtful manner. I believe that the exit process should be simply as white glove as the entrance process is. If somebody was good enough for you to bet on and welcome to be the part of your company, let me tell you one very simple thing. They are going to be even better for getting more experiences down the road somewhere else and should always be welcomed back as really perhaps colleagues for life. So you should be able to exit people in the right way. One, to send them off in a great way so they can continue to be vocal advocates for your company. And two, during that exit process, you should be able to tap into all of their valuable insights around what could you have done differently to keep them within your organization if you wanted to. If HR leaders can forget about everything else and just focus on the 5 E's of employee experience and then connect the employee experience to customer experience to drive innovation, they can change the system, they can disrupt everything, and they can help their organizations be so successful. And my big advice here is for business leaders that they've got to reach out to and work with their HR leaders to do these sorts of things, so the HR leaders are not caught up in doing things of the past. So they're helping these business leaders do things of the future that are really, really game changing.